I'm delighted next to be joined by Michele Schalin. Michele used to live in Spain, but she's now moved back to America, but she's part of our Costa Women community as well. And she's going to be talking about mindful metamorphosis, which is a book she's written, but also about mindfulness generally. Come and listen. Hello, Michele.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell the ladies who you are?
Well, my name is Michele Schalin, and I am a mindfulness corporate trainer and a mental fitness coach, and also an author. And I live in the United States. I did live in Spain for 3.5 years and look forward to returning. But right now I'm in Austin, Texas, originally born in Chicago. And I just really, really love, my passion is helping people feel good and teaching people, helping people develop a mental fitness belief system and learn how they can use many holistic practices in their life to be happy, healthy, and handle kind of the chaotic, situation we're living in our modern world right now. And I love to meet new women. I made a real conscious decision about 3 years ago to enlarge my tribe of women that were more aware and wanted to learn and grow. And that's like happening all the time, every day. So I'm super excited about that and super excited to be here with you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's amazing what just making that simple intention can do, isn't it? Because if we stay open to it, then all sorts of fun things happen.
I mean, it opened up my world like never before. I've had friends, of course, women friends, but I've never had a group of women friends. Like I've never done that. And I saw when my daughter got older and she did that, I thought that's so cool. I never did that before,
Yeah.
And I know it's common. I just hadn't done it. I grew up with 3 brothers and you know what I mean? And so I have that all the time now. And I've never been like, I have lots of different women and groups that I go to, women's circles and all kinds of stuff. I just went to something last night. And I've never been so loved and supported in my life, so.
Cool, love it. So tell us about your move to Spain. Obviously, that was a little while ago, but how did you end up living in Spain?
Well, I've been wanting, I started trying to learn Spanish years ago, like 20 years ago, when my ex-husband and I at the time, we were living in Chicago, we were thinking on relocating to Costa Rica. And we changed our mind because of limiting opportunities back then for my children. So we ended up going to Texas instead. But that kind of spurred my desire for learning Spanish, but I never could discipline myself. And he wasn't on board with learning it. So it was really hard to keep it going with the kids and stuff. And fast forward to when we lived in Key West in about 2015 to 2017. And I started like a Spanish conversation group, people going to my house and stuff like that. And then I went to Europe for the first time, probably about 14 years ago. And I decided the second time I went that I was going to go to Spain and practice my Spanish. I had very beginner level, And so that was my first introduction in 2016. And then in 2017, I decided to go back there to study. So I had 1 month in Barcelona and 1 month in Valencia. And still not thinking I was going to move there, I came back and, okay, I'm going to practice with all my friends, and nobody had time and I didn't have the discipline to keep it up. So when my ex-husband and I decided to separate, I said, I'm moving to Spain so I can improve my Spanish. So that was the idea. And it was like, I made that decision like within a couple of months, boom.
Wow.
And I started working on the visa and it took a little while. And so I got there October 2017. And like most Americans, I was totally naive to what it was going to be like to live abroad. I knew it was going to be hard, but it was tremendously challenging for me because I couldn't express myself. I couldn't understand myself. I didn't know I didn't understand other people. I didn't know anybody. I was by myself. And then just the emotional state that I was in from
Yeah.
my, separating at 27 years and leaving everyone behind me, identities belong, everything. I faced the biggest fear I ever had in my life was to be alone. And so, I navigated that with a lot of beautiful experiences and everything, but it was quite challenging. And it was a big growth, huge growth for me, which a lot of my business and my book and everything came out of, and then being over there during the quarantine, I was there
Yeah.
till lockdown, and then the 14 months afterwards. I mean, I couldn't even have a party and say goodbye to friends because we still had all these restrictions and you couldn't get together more than 3 people. So it was a beautiful experience. I met so many people that I'm still in touch with now. And, I mean, I joined the Coast of Women back then, when I was there. And I miss it and I can't wait to go back. And I had the good fortune and the blessing to go back there actually, and as you know, in October and November on my book tour.
Yeah.
And saw a lot of friends, and yeah. So I love Spain so much and I miss it quite a bit. And I'm really looking forward to returning, at least part-time.
Cool. Yeah, well, we look forward to having you come back to join us again. You mentioned there your book. So you've taken a practice that you really love, which is being mindful, and written this book called Mindful Metamorphosis. How did you decide to write a book and share your story? And how was that experience for you writing down your story?
It's massive. And it's been like it will be a 2-year creation project by the time it's done. It's almost done now. It's available in paperback and English in both Spanish and paperback and ebook, excuse me, in both Spanish and English. I have a really good friend that I met in Valencia, a Colombian woman who's a professional translator that translated it beautifully in Spanish. And I say it's not quite finished yet because I'm just going to be the audio recording will be finished and available on Amazon in June. And that's been quite a challenge. The learning curve on this whole experience has been massive. And the healing process of me going through it has been quite massive too. You hear people say how it's real therapeutic when they write down stuff and they write a book, but yeah, it was like that huge for me. And, my book, I mean, at the beginning of the book, in the first chapter, I talk about my story and what happened to me as a child and how I grew and how things happened in my life that spurred me on to amazing healing, a lot of trauma healing and spiritual growth and everything. And using all these holistic practices that I learned, not only mindfulness, but meditation and breath work and sound healing and plant medicine experiences. I mean, I'm very open about all the healing process and modalities I use in it, and just learning constantly about neuroscience and how our body and our mind work together. I actually have, previous to this, I have 26 years of experience in 12-step programs with mentoring hundreds of women with healing from trauma and addiction. Okay. But I didn't start really I didn't really heal in a very, very deep way until I started to go inward for the first time in my life with meditation. Okay. And so I was healing and all this stuff was happening and shifting. And that's what happened with my marriage. I mean, I was growing like a rocket and he was really threatened by it and he couldn't grow with me. You know what I mean? He was really he was very fearful of looking at his own trauma. And that's what was necessary for us to grow and heal, And so walking away from that was extremely hard for me because I loved him and, it just became very toxic for both of us and it just wasn't going to work. And I hung in there for a long time, to try, but so I was going through an immense amount of healing. And during the quarantine, we were locked up. I had no balcony, no yard in the city. And I had some psilocybin chocolates with me that I had purchased through the mail with this man in the Netherlands. And I was already using them therapeutically for healing. And there's all kinds of information. I show all kinds of information. I've had workshops and all kinds of stuff about that. And in the United States, I know it's worldwide, but the United States, there's a lot of talk about all this coming and being made legal. And so I had this really strong experience where my mom came to me. And it was the very first time I ever had a connection with spirit. I've always believed in it. I've just never had that experience before. And I was working the last couple of years on forgiveness around our relationship, okay, between myself and her and everything. And she had been dead for 30 years. And so all of a sudden, I heard a song from Nutcracker Ballet that I was listening to classical music during this experience. And my whole brain lit up because that was this huge bond for us. We did it, every Christmas. It was a big thing. And I did the same thing with my kids. And her presence was absolutely undeniably there. And we had this beautiful healing session. And I got the message from her to write the book. So when people say, why'd you write the book? I go, my mom told me to. My mom told me to write the book. Yeah. And so she was like, you are going through major healing. And a lot of people all over the world are experiencing the same kind of suffering that you have. You need to write this book and share with people what you learned. And so it was very, very, very important to me to get it done. And in the book, I share all kinds of science and experts, and just gathered all this information that I collected and studied on my own, of many experts. And I make many references to experts in books and documentaries and TED Talks around all kinds of modalities, and understanding what we're dealing with, living in a toxic culture with toxic messaging, not knowing how to, process our emotions, having this crazy fast way of living with all this overstimulation and technology, and not understanding how that's affecting our brain, our body, our humanity, our culture. It's intense. And that's why so many people all around the world are, when they're interacting with this and they have these kind of experiences, are really suffering. And it's from toddlers to seniors. There's no age discrimination or race discrimination or anything. Everybody, and instead of looking at the root problem and looking at why this could be happening to so many people, the traditional medicine is, the majority of them are still just, prescribing medication and just, dulling your neuron connections in your brain. And people are being labeled, and a lot of them misdiagnosed, in my opinion, where, instead of being medicated and dulling their brain, which doesn't solve the problem, it's just going to cause more physical and, mental and illness and pain in the future, because you're pushing something down. You're not dealing with the problem. There's so much education out there where you can use things. You just need to develop a mental fitness belief system so you'll do this stuff. You know what I mean? Like physical fitness, we know we do this and this and this and this, or don't do this. And then we know that it's a process, it takes time, and we'll get the results if we're dedicated, right? Well, if we had that kind of same belief system around mental fitness, everybody would be doing this stuff, because they know that this is what they need to keep their mind fit. And we need it more than ever now because of the way we're living.
Yeah.
So that was my passion, to reach as many people as I could. And I knew doing the book, having a book and getting it in Spanish and having it in Audible and doing all these different versions would be the best way I could reach people.
Yeah.
So.
And it must be, as you just mentioned there, that you're doing the Audible version, it must be really weird reading your story, because again, that's a second part of being cathartic, isn't it? It's like you put it all down, but then actually verbalizing it and what you've gone through and what's happened to you and what you believe, that must have another impact on you.
Absolutely. And reading a book, doing an Audible recording it's difficult. I was really getting anxious at the beginning of it. And I was like, okay, deep breathe and enjoy the process, Michelle, enjoy the process, because you got to be careful with how you breathe. You can't move around, because if the chair squeaks, it's going to pick it up. I mean, everything. I don't have a studio. So I had, I was a part of this author mentoring program. So they sent me nice equipment, but I had to unplug my refrigerator, unplug my AC, because of the humming that would just start, everything, it picked up everything.
Yeah.
And then I remember that one chapter, I had to re-record the whole thing over, because it was my first one. It was the intro. And when I heard it, when I listened to it afterwards, it sounded like I was reading. And I was like, okay, I got it. So I go, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read each chapter out loud 2 times, 2 days before I actually record it on the 3rd time. So that was the process I did to make sure that I would sound like I wasn't reading it. You know what I mean? And then, even when you're in the midst of it, you mess up, you cough, you got to get a drink, you hear a dog on the outside. I mean, there's so many things you have to like stop and then start over again. And then you got to mark up a PDF and everything. It's quite complex. And so, but I'm actually listening to the finished product, and they did an amazing job. They did an amazing job. And I got a really nice compliment, because I'm such a newbie at this. Okay. The editor, who, he listens to a lot of these books. This is what he does. And his comment was, Michelle, the narration was so, and he had like, oh, you know, so good. And I was like, oh, thank you, you know. So yeah, it was really, yeah, it's really wild. So not only did I read it out loud, I read it out loud, I recorded it, and now I'm listening. It's like over and over and over again, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, the repeat of your story. So did you have any roadblocks to either writing the book or having your business? And if so, how did you overcome them?
the roadblock, yeah, when I first started writing the book, I was having a hard time, like a lot of people, you know, people that want to write a book and then they don't finish it, right? Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of discipline, you know, you're busy, you're tired, you know, with your everyday life or whatever. So I was working on it for, you know, about a year, and I hadn't got much done. Like the outline, a little bit of notes and this and that, you know, a little bit of writing chapter. And so I said to the universe, please, I need help. I need a hold hand. I need guidance. You know, I've written a lot of things, but never a book. And there's a big difference. I read a booklet. That was it. And so this woman contacted me after her husband saw me talk about, I had a workshop on anxiety and how to, you know, handle your triggers and ways to help yourself. And she wanted to be a coach, and she wanted advice. And so she met me, and I said, oh, come on, I'll help you out. And she came with this book that she already wrote.
Okay.
And I was like, you wrote a book, like, what'd you do? Yeah, how'd you do this? And she told me about this author mentoring program. And it had quite a price tag, and it was a big investment of time. And I was pretty intimidated by that. I was like, you know, but I was like, well, this is what the universe gave you, Michelle. You know, let's dive in. And so I did. And that's what helped me get it done in a year. You know, it was hard, but that's why I overcame that with the book with that.
Yeah.
As far as my business, you know, the block, the block I had to overcome was, you know, like I said, most people don't have mental fitness belief system. They're not taught a lot of this stuff. They're not taught how to process their emotions. They're conditioned to have the immediate gratification from technology, you know, over the years. That's how we are real quick now. Everything's quick. And they need to be educated, just the basic science, so they understand what's happening to your brain, what's happening to your body when you're trying to learn how to control your thoughts and learn how to meditate and learn how to process feelings and understand it all, so you have more compassion and love for yourself, because we got the judging critic all the time, right?
Right.
And to know that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Okay, it's a process. This is a part of the rest of your life to continue, and you try to make these changes and implement these practices in your life amongst a chaotic environment with other people not doing it and negativity and stuff like that, you know. So it's almost like trying to be sober in a bar. You know, you're going against the common message a lot of times, you know. And I mean, I know in the United States here, I mean, it's so prevalent for people to be medicated when they have difficult emotions that now people are pressuring themselves to get on like pressuring each other. You need to get some meds for that. Like if someone died and they're having a hard time, you should get some medication. What do you mean? You know, have the normal emotions. I mean, this is insane, had the thinking, but this is how it is. And so just teaching people that and telling them this is all science. So I know I'm talking to the Western mind. So you know, I talk about all the science and experts. That's why in my book, I refer to a lot of, you know, experts, you know, and that are medical experts and neuroscientists, you know, therapists, all kinds of stuff. And then the other thing I decided to do was give them an experience, something, you know, when you give someone a real powerful experience, it's emotional, then that really impresses them and they'll listen more, you know. And when I was in Spain, I was introduced to holotrophic breath work in Malaga one time at a workshop in like 2019, and it was, or 2018, it was super powerful. I released a lot of emotion, and it was a definite big healing tool that I was like, wow, I want to learn more about this. I was also introduced to sound healing as well. The vibrations of the instruments regulate your nervous system, and it really helps with pain and illness and anxiety. And both of them do. And I started using grounding too, grounding where your feet on the ground, where you actually, people don't understand this, but you actually discharge energy out of your body into the earth when you do that with no shoes. And it's very scientific. It's amazing. It helps inflammation, anxiety, you know, and pain. And so when I came back to the US, I found somebody doing the breath work and the sound together. And
Okay.
that was incredibly magical. I did that for over a year, and then I decided to facilitate them myself. So I've been doing that for 2 years now. I do like 2, 3 public group sessions, and then I also do private sessions, and that is such a powerful experience for people. I mean, if people Google my company, Mindful Metamorphosis, on Google Maps, you'll see right now over 80 reviews of a lot of experience with me, but a lot around that experience. And so that was something I was able to get people's attention. I was able to help a lot of people and get their attention more. And of course, the book helped to get attention, and so that has really helped build my business a lot. And the other thing I decided to do, I've gotten good at being an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years because I have a website services company that was created in 2004. And so I've gotten really good at pivoting, like learning to pivot when it's the right time. Like, because sometimes I hold on to something for too long that's not working. I'm gonna make it work, And I go, okay, Michele, let's pay attention. Let's see, And I started getting messages and having opportunities to actually work with a group of teachers and some realtors and some business people, online and in person, and helping them with stress management, things and all these holistic practices, teaching them the basic science and helping them how they can handle, the time in front of the screens and sitting and not moving around, stuff like that, that really, impact your body and how you feel and your neck and everything, And so I made a pivot more recently, and I, updated my LinkedIn page. I've got a new page on my website. I made some promotional cards, and I'm promoting that now and saying, hey, I can do more of this. That's why I have the title of mental fitness corporate trainer now, because, mindfulness corporate trainer, I call myself, because this is something that everybody needs. As soon as I talk to it about somebody, they go, oh yeah, everyone's like, oh yeah, we need that. I'm like, everybody needs it. Everybody needs this help. So that's a new thing that I started doing too, and I'm sure that I'm going to have a lot of opportunities to grow my business that way.
Yeah.
And that kind of a thing will grow, and then I can have train people underneath me. So I won't be having to do it all. I can have people underneath me doing that.
Yeah. So people that are starting out on their mindfulness journey, what advice would you give them? Because I think a lot of people think I can't do mindfulness because it's just, my mind's all over the place. I can't just sit there in silence, cross-legged for half an hour. So what would be your advice for other women that want to start their mindfulness journey?
Well, first off, what you described actually is meditation, not mindfulness. There is, type of meditation called mindfulness meditation. There's all kinds of different meditation. Okay. And we actually all do forms of meditation in our life. Every time you focus intently on something, it's meditative. Okay. So it could be washing dishes, it could be cooking, it could be dancing, it could be swimming, gardening, going out to nature without your phone or talking, artwork, anything that brings you joy that you're intently focusing on. You're going inward, and that the noise gets quiet. Okay. I remember I had a student one time when I was teaching English in Spain. He said, oh, I used to love sports when I was in high school because I could disconnect. And I said, actually, you were connecting. You were going inward and focusing on something that you loved, and then you disconnected from that busy noise in your head. Oh, so meditation, that's a meditative state. And, what's really beneficial before you try to, maybe sit down in a more deeper meditative state is learning how to do breathwork techniques, because that calms your body, that moves you from the flight and fight system into the rest and restore. So then you can be more comfortable sitting with your eyes closed for maybe 5 minutes, The other thing is a lot of people approach meditation with this goal of blanking and quieting their mind. And that's not the right goal, because if you do that, it's impossible. Your mind is just always chattering, and you're going to get frustrated because you think you're not doing it right. And then you get the judging, critical, go, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Quit. If you have the goal the goal is just to focus, your mind will wander, refocus, wander, refocus, wander, refocus. That's the goal. And as you get better with consistency is the most important, not the duration. Even if you just do that 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes a day at the start, you'll want to do more, because you'll want to naturally increase your duration because you'll see the benefits. Okay. but the consistency and the goal is just refocus. Basically, that's like doing a bicep curl for your brain. And as it's brain training, and you always approach it with compassion and love, always. This is a new thing for your brain, okay? If you've never gone, this is brand new. So it's always with compassion and love. When you start to judge yourself, apologize to yourself. I'm sorry, we're learning, okay? And so what that does is it gets you to you get to have more control in your everyday life. So mindfulness is where you're paying attention to your thoughts and you're paying attention to the world around you instead of just being in a tunnel vision, you know, how we do sometimes. Pay attention to your body more. Our body is always talking to us. And a lot of times we're telling it to shut up all the time. Anxiety is a perfect example. Anxiety is there to help us. In my book, I have a chapter it says the title is Anxiety, Our Bestie, because it's our internal alarm. It's trying to say, hey, something's going on. You got to talk to me. You know what I mean? And if you just resist it, it will persist. And then you get pain and illness and sleep problems and all kinds of stuff. Okay. It's there to help you. It's uncomfortable, but it's not permanent. And it's just energy in your body. So when you start to, have the brain training in your mind, the busyness in your background, which is constant. It's like science tells us we operate 95% of our subconscious. So 95% of the time in our life, we're on autopilot with beliefs that were given to us a lot. All right. And we may know some, but we don't know them all. And when you start to meditate more, you start to be more aware of that talk in the back. And a lot of it's negative, and it holds us back for dreams that we want to do in our lives. So I think the most important thing is just to find things that bring you joy, that you can learn to focus on and be more present. And if you can start to have like some kind of meditation, 2, 3, 5 minutes a day, just concentrate on your breath, or guided meditation. Guided meditation is really great because it gives you prompts and not be so serious about it. Just treat it like, if you're listening to guided meditation, just treat it like it's a podcast. You maybe wander off and then just come back to it. It's no big deal. Don't be so serious. And the app that I love and been using for years is called Insight Timer. And so when you start to get better at meditation, and you'll notice, you'll start to see you get better at mindfulness and your thoughts and stuff like that. And working together in tandem, you can raise your vibrational frequency of your actual body with more gratitude and more joy in your life. And then you attract the like. You attract more higher joyful people in your life, more positive people, more positive experiences. It's like a radio frequency that you dial into. And so, but the most important thing is just to understand it's a process, and to not be so serious, be playful about it. And, just be always compassionate and loving to yourself.
Yeah, cool. Love that. And you mentioned earlier about having the importance of having female friends.
Yes.
Did you have any sort of female business role model who helped you make it happen for you, and who are they?
I don't have any person. I remember when I saw that question, I'm like, I don't have any person that said, yeah, I like their business model. No. Out of anybody that has inspired me, a lot of women have inspired me a ton, but the person that has probably inspired me the most, just as not even as business, of course, when I got into my own business, but just as for personal growth, is probably Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
I'm from Chicago. I've when I was, in my 20s, I guess, I remember watching her start her very first show. It was called AM Chicago. And I remember exactly, oh, who's this lady, and I watched her grow, and I watched everything she did, and I followed her. I mean, I didn't watch her constantly, for years and years. She was on for 20 years on her TV show, but I paid attention to what she did, and I saw how much she helped people, and she was always learning and boosting, not only helping people, heal and be very vulnerable in her experience and her growth and what she was going through, but also help other business people and prop them up and help them have success when she saw that they were helping other people, you know what I mean? And I actually got to meet her one time on her show. She hugged me and I hugged her, and I told her she looked great, and she told me I looked great, and it was really cute. It was a really fun experience. And so she's the person that I've always admired the most, because she's always just a constant learner, helping people and propping other people up. And that's how I operate too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is that consistency, isn't it? That's so important. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's been consistent all the time. And when I hear people talk about her, they make stuff up, conspiracy theories, stuff about her and stuff like, what are you talking about? She's never done that at all. She's only been, I've never heard any, I mean, nobody's gonna, okay, maybe she had a mood or whatever, and she got, had lost her temper with somebody. I mean, come on, she's a busy woman. She's controlling us, doing a lot of stuff, but yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So a quick fire round. What book have you read which made a difference to your life and why?
Well, at the very beginning, when I had a back surgery in 2014, and that's what led me into meditation. Before that, I was a workaholic, crazy overachiever, and I did not have good balance. I worked out and I exercised like a workout queen, and I ate real good, but the balance, is what led me into having this back surgery. So when I got into meditation, the first time I started going inward, I got into yoga and meditation, and I read The Power Now and the New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and the Four Agreements by McGill Louise. All right. And those really opened my mind to a lot of other books. And then when I got to Spain, and I was really starting to study neuroscience, all the books and programs, and I went to a conference with Joe Dispenza. Dr. Joe Dispenza was huge for me. I went to his week-long conference in Sardinia, Italy in 2018. And I'm also a huge fan of Gabor Mate. The Wisdom of Trauma is his, no, excuse me, The Myth of Normal is his recent book. The Wisdom of Trauma is his documentary. And Wayne Dyer, a lot of his books I really love. So yeah, those are the ones. I mean, there's many more, but those are the big ones that have really opened me up a lot.
Would you say you have a superpower?
A superpower? Yes, my superpower is communication and connecting with people. Absolutely. Yeah. And it was funny. On my birthday, my daughter had this she encouraged me to have some people, and we had about 10 people at my birthday party. And she asked them, what is the thing about Michele, And like every single person said, like when I first met them, that we just connected right away. And she's like, well, this is the theme. Because I just talk about deeper stuff, and I talk about real stuff. I mean, as long as they're comfortable going deeper, the chit chat goes away real quick, and I connect that way with people.
Yeah, and I think you attract people like that, don't you? Once you're, that's
Yeah, and I'm so blessed to have found my purpose and done all this healing and come into being really authentic who I am. That energy comes up, and people frequently will say, my God, your energy is amazing, and not all the time, of course, but yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, it's a test, it was a research project, it's called SPANE, but it's spelled SPANE. I don't know what the acronyms mean, but it was a study, you can look it up, of 25,000 people, and it was measuring their frequency, their vibrational frequency of their body. And a lot of times people think that love is the highest energy frequency, but they discovered that authenticity is the highest vibrational frequency, which totally made sense to me right away, because when you get to the point of your healing where you can be more vulnerable and you're not afraid to be, and you're more authentic of who you really are, that's when you're really connected, I believe, to your soul and your purpose. And so that, of course, makes sense to me that would be the highest vibrational frequency. And that's definitely the case in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. What's something you'll achieve before the end of this year, 2024?
My audiobook. I'm doing a short book tour in the US, because my book tour was only in Europe last year, in the US. And excuse me, this year is the year I am going to go from B1 to B2. I'm going from my lower intermediate Spanish, which I've been in for years, to my higher intermediate Spanish. So I've signed up for classes. I actually have a lot of time. I have more time this year for my brain power and studying and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. What would be your advice to a younger Michele?
I always say, slow down, because I was always, I had the message as a child in my culture that the more I do, the more productive I am, the more worthwhile and lovable I am. All right. And so I was just fast forward. The faster I move, I can get more done. And also, I think that was just my way of trying to avoid uncomfortable feelings because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions and stuff, you know. So slow down and learn to meditate, because I absolutely think meditation is a superpower. And that's not an exaggeration when you understand that how it helps you in every single area and aspect of your life: physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, professional, personal, everything. So slow down, learn to meditate, and be more loving and compassionate to yourself. And when you slow down and meditate, you'll be more present in your life. And when you're more present in your life, you'll have a lot more joy and gratitude. You know, the fear is thinking about the future. Thinking about the past is usually angry or sad for a lot of people, you know. And so being present is when you're going to live your life the best and be the best for people around you.
Yeah, and that's amazing advice to anybody, not just your younger Michele.
Yeah.
So how can people best connect with you? And if they're in America, where exactly will you be on your book tour?
I'm going to be going to Chicago and Asheville, North Carolina for sure. Those are my two ones for sure. I may go to New York if I might have the opportunity to be able to do that. And it's funny because I've never been to New York. Everyone in Europe used to think it was hilarious that I've never been to New York because that's the first place they go to. So, you know, I want that to be on my list too. So I'm hoping that will be there. As far as getting a hold of me, I'm really easy to find. All you have to do is type in my name or the book on the internet. But you know, I'm on Instagram. If you go to my website, michelleschalin.com, if you type in mindful metamorphosis, can't find, you know, spell my name right. It's one L, Michelle. And I have a YouTube channel where I share a lot of videos to help people with a lot of these things. Instagram, Facebook, and my websites.
Brilliant. Good. Well, thank you, Michele. It's been really interesting to hear your story and hear how the book came about.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's quite an honor. And I think your story is amazing, Allie, and I love being a part of Costa Women.
Well,
Thank you
we
so
love having you. Even if it's from afar, you can still, still get involved, which is great. So really love having you as part of the community.
much.
And look forward to see you back in Spain at some point. Hopefully.
Me too. Awesome to meet you in person.
Thank you. I really hope you enjoyed this latest recording of the Make It Happen series, and I'd love you to subscribe to our podcast channel, or if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, just click the subscribe button. We'd love you to continue hearing and seeing more of our Make It Happen interviews. If you're not a member of Costa Women yet, but you're a woman who is living in Spain or a woman who is thinking about moving to Spain, do come and join us at costawomen.com. It's completely free to join. In the meantime, I look forward to sharing more Make It Happen interviews with you. Bye for now.